First of all, I just want to talk about this is our guest, Steve and Jeff Holmes, both from Plattsburgh, both class acts. I'm sure everyone knows everything about them and the impact they had on our area. They both live out of our area now. Jeff lives in the Albany area. Steve lives in Maryland, and they're both very successful. Like I said, class acts. They're also two of my best friends, but that's not why I'm interviewing them. That they deserve to be interviewed because of the impact they had on our area. So I'm going to start again. This is Steve and Jeff Holmes. I'm going to start with some questions. Are you guys ready? And I'd like Jeff to always answer first, unless it's directly to one of you, okay?
Okay. Sounds good, Tom.
All right. I want you to talk about growing up in Plattsburgh. Just
Well, first of all, Tom, thanks for the opportunity to be on the show. There's been a lot of really good guests that have been on that have been inspirational and interesting, so we're happy to be on the show. Oh, by the way, can I request a song while I'm on here too?
sure. Uh-oh.
What's it like growing up in Plattsburgh? Was that the first question?
Yes.
It was amazing. Just all the opportunities that were there for somebody, young kid growing up. Opportunities were amazing. Just sports-wise, there was always kids playing in our neighborhood. Little League and sports at our school, at Oak Street School, and in Plattsburgh Junior High School and Plattsburgh High School. And then when we got older, parks were filled. Air Force Base, we were there all the time. Plattsburgh State, we were there all the time. And it was just an amazing place to grow up. And I'm very thankful every day for that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Jeff, every once in a while you're kind of you're breaking up, not really breaking up, but getting a little lower. Are you close to your phone, or how are you doing this? Or
I got my earbuds on. You want me to talk louder?
Maybe just use your speaker on your phone rather than the earbuds, in my opinion. I don't know. Usually,
Steve?
Steve, do you have earbuds?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yep, I can hear him perfectly. It sounds like Jeff went to Walmart to get his earbuds. So, okay, Steve, your turn.
Well, thanks to you, Tom, as well. Echo Jeff's words. Appreciate you having us on. Pretty much what Jeff said. We had so many opportunities and so many. The thing I remember the most was we just had so many good people around us helping us all the time. People who offered their time and their energy and took a genuine interest in us as not only in sports but in everything. We had great teachers, we had great people involved in the community, and it just was a great place. I don't think we always took time to take stock of the fact that we were really happy growing up and safe, and just fond memories of childhood and all that went into it.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys aware that Plattsburgh, well, Beijing as well, but that shouldn't count. Plattsburgh is the only city in the entire world that had the Summer Olympics and the Winter Olympics within an hour of us, and that just shows you. I love Plattsburgh. I think it's God's country because of the mountains and because of the lake, and and basketball courts and stuff like that. Sports in general, guys, as you know, you meet so many good people, and we've all stuck together and because of basketball. But it's any sport. Baseball doesn't matter, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been I'm thankful every day. I'm probably going to say that a lot today, but I've been thankful of how we grew up and camaraderie we had and relationships we built. You know, like Steve said, we had amazing role models and people that helped us along the way.
Jeff, you might have to go with your speaker. The earbuds that you got are not working that well. Okay.
He's got to pay his bills, Tom. Tom, I don't think he's paying his bills lately.
I'm having trouble getting my speaker on. That's why.
Okay. Give it a try. If not, go back to the earbuds. Okay.
Maybe call on a rotary phone.
Stop. There we go. There's Steve's sense of humor. Jeff is kind of more serious than Steve. Steve will sneak in one every once in a while, and funny guy. But okay, here's another one, and you might have to think about this. Name all your coaches from 7th grade on, and just say a little bit about them. High school or just in school, not college coaches.
7th grade. Growing up in Oak Street School, Mr. Garrow, Bob Garrow, was just tremendous. You know, we'd have noon hour basketball, and he'd be in a shirt and tie, and 3-on-3, and intramurals, and he was just an amazing person to have in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
When I got to junior high, my dad was our junior high phys ed teacher, but we had, I remember a gentleman named Mr. Ryan in 7th grade, John Hobner in 8th grade,
mm-hmm.
great guy,
yep.
Really excellent guy to be around, tremendous role model. Played JV at Plattsburgh High School for Dutch Cromer, another awesome person and tremendous coach. Mike Flynn, my sophomore year and his first year at Plattsburgh High School, who was had a tremendous basketball mind and
mm-hmm.
Was on the verge of having an excellent career. You know, and then playing for my dad my last 2 years of high school, my junior and senior year.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Remember, we went undefeated with Mike Flynn as on that JV team. Amazing. That was so much fun. And the thing about Coach Flynn is he brought stuff like ball you man, ball denial, force middle, that stuff that was new to us. And, he was ahead of his time, there's no doubt. So, Steve?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff he brought, he had such a great knowledge of the game. He complemented the Plattsburgh High School programs so well, too. He
mm-hmm.
bought into our philosophy, and so it was really good addition, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Steve, your coaches?
7th grade, it was Jim Murray.
Yes, same here.
Excellent, really, just a really good guy, and really took care of us.
He's listening, by the way. He listens to the show. Yep.
So he was a great guy. I also had him for English, and really enjoyed being around him. I don't know if he enjoyed me being around him, but I really enjoyed being around him. 8th grade, John Hobner, who was, middle school fixture coach for
mm-hmm.
years and years, and one of the nicest people I've ever known.
Mm-hmm.
And then my freshman year, I had Mike Flynn, and we were undefeated my freshman year. I don't think
as
anyone
well
came within.
Wow.
Yeah, within 10 points of us, I think we really dominated.
Amazing.
And then my sophomore year, my father retired, so Mike Flynn moved up to varsity. So Tom
mm-hmm.
Duquette was our coach, and I think we lost once that entire year, maybe twice. You can
mm-hmm.
fact check me. And then my junior and senior year were Mike Flynn.
Mm-hmm.
So, but John Nicotero was a big influence as well. In middle school,
mm-hmm.
he ran an intramural program that was really intense.
Yes.
He really put, kind of peer pressured us, put some pressure on us to show up after school. He worked with us on skills and stuff, and he was an impact on me more than I also played football for him, but he was involved in basketball as well when we were in middle school. So these are all really great men and
mm-hmm.
guys that really cared about us. It was obvious. They challenge us. They they'd ride you a little bit. If you were, I had a tendency to be a little over emotional at times, and they'd rein me in, or they'd.
It's called competitive, Steve. You're competitive.
All right, let's go with that. And yeah, so just really proud and happy and lucky, just unbelievably fortunate to have such great guys that volunteered their time and got paid very little, but put their heart and soul into it, which really showed from us because we didn't want to let them down.
Unfortunately, you didn't get a chance to play for your dad, and I don't think you regret it, but I think you would have loved it so much. He's just a fixture at Plattsburgh High School, and just one of the best human beings. And I say that people just say that stuff all the time, but it's true. There's no doubt. He had an impact on me so much. I remember, if I was playing basketball somewhere, he'd drive by in that orange mobile, and he'd see me playing, and I'd say, "Wow, he just saw me playing. He just saw me playing," and I'd be so happy, So, and he also complimented me on my maroon suit, as you know, and my platform shoes, getting on the bus, when we had games.
Wear some of the stuff you're wearing recently.
Stop with that. Okay, Steve, talk about that the football game for Coach Nicotera when against Beekmantown. You had a great game. I was there, by the way.
Well, thanks, Tom. Appreciate that. I'm not sure how much I remember it. If I could just go back a second, you said something about not being able to play for my dad. It was an interesting thing when he sat down to tell me about it, because he was taking over as athletic director, and I really didn't think much of it. I thought, well, he's going to be athletic director and basketball coach. No big deal.
Yeah.
So I walked out of the room, and then he walked by me again, and he goes, I'm not going to be coaching. And I said, sorry? And he said, I'm not going to be, I'm not allowed to do both. And I was like, And so it had an effect, but at the time, like I told you a minute ago, we were coming off an undefeated season with Coach Flynn, where nobody really touched us. And I was, enamored with Coach Flynn and the way he ran things, and he spent a lot of time with me and encouraged me, and so it didn't affect me there. The thing that was great about my dad when it came to that was, even though he wasn't coaching me directly, he wasn't like undermining the coach or anything like that. He had great respect for Mike Flynn, and so he let me play. And if I sat down with him and said, "Hey, how do you think I played today?" or this or that, he'd offer it, but he rarely would get in the way. He was a coach's coach, and he was an athletic director's coach. So that's what I respect him the most for. It was just awesome being around two great men like that. So it was almost like I had two coaches.
Okay, talk about that football game.
A football game, my goodness.
Beekmantown. You played great.
1978. Lace, that's like 1978.
Well, if I can remember it, then you should be able to remember it.
Well, you tell me what you remember while I try to remember.
You just you played. Your passing was right on. You guys were losing, and you brought your team back, a la Tom Brady and Ken Stabler. Of course, Ken Stabler. People don't remember Ken Stabler on this show, but you were the reason. Well, I shouldn't say that. The team was the reason you guys won that game, and Beekmantown was arguably, and Peru were arguably the best teams in that league. And what a game you played! So I just want to throw that out there.
Well, thank you. Thanks. What I do remember was my mother used to tape the radio broadcasts of it, and then we'd listen to it later. And I remember whoever the commentator was, it wasn't Dutch Cromer, I don't believe, it was someone else. And at the beginning of the game, said that I was the quarterback, and the color commentator said, "Well, he is just a basketball player wearing a football uniform."
Wow.
And I kind of was a little bit taken back by that comment, and it did kind of spur me on for the rest of the year. I remember we had a great team game. I remember our defense was really solid. I remember it was a really hostile environment. As you could imagine, Beekmantown, football, they were very proud of it, and so for us to be able to come out of there with a win on the road in a very hostile environment was really gratifying. And I know Coach Nick had a great game plan, and I just did whatever he told me to do.
Mm-hmm. Talk about, we talked about your dad a little bit. Talk about your mom. Both of you. Jeff, start first.
Well, I haven't spoken about my dad. So
okay, yeah, go ahead first.
Start with him first. It's kind of run out of adjectives to talk about him, but one thing about him that maybe not a lot of people know is that he had different roles for different people. Like, for example, my neighbor and my teammate, B.J. Adams, said to me not too long ago he goes, your dad busted my chops every day, and I loved him for it, which, I mean, I can't think of a better compliment than something like that.
Absolutely.
And my dad was he was a teacher, he was a leader, he was tough, he was competitive, he was demanding, and he coached individuals different ways. He found ways to motivate, he found ways to make the basketball court a safe place for, that's a big word in these times. He was whatever you needed him to be. That's what I'd like to say about him anyway.
Let me throw in something real quick. Okay, sorry. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just want to throw something real quick before. One thing your dad did, and I've said it many times, he made basketball fun. And you know my theory on that. If you're not having fun, you're not going to get better. And that's what I loved most about him. It was so much fun going to his practices, and it was, just playing with you guys. I had no problem at all not getting any playing time. It was just so much fun. Yeah, go on, Jeff. Sorry for interrupting.
Well, fun. I think fun was a byproduct of his teaching and his leadership. He didn't say, "All right, we're just going to have fun today." He was, like I said, he was tough and competitive and demanding, and he made it enjoyable to be with him and the team. And it was in my opinion, it was a byproduct of everything that he instilled in us. As a father, again, adjectives were just going to flow out of my mouth. As me being a father and Steve being a father, I'm sure I'm speaking for Steve as well. Probably mostly everything that we do, whether we were a father or as a coach, we're saying, all right, what would Dad do in this situation? I've asked that question many, many times. So, that'd be the best way to sum up, him as a father and a coach. As far as my mother, she was really, I always say she was the unsung hero of our family. And she was the one behind the scenes that would more analytical, like, all right, what would happen if this doesn't, she always was a voice of reason and calmness, and and Steve and our sister Lisa, who we're all educators. I think they brought such a great foundation because they instilled in us that things happen for a reason. We had lessons that we learned every single day from them, and we're just so fortunate that we had them in our lives in many ways.
Steve, talk about your mom, and throw in Lisa too, and Coach Welch had a funny comment about that, but I'll get to that later. Go ahead, Steve. Talk about your mom.
Yeah, same thing. My mother. The thing I remember most when I was younger, I was a procrastinator. I always, like writing a paper. When did you write you had 2 weeks to write the paper. You wrote it the night before. My mother really taught me about being prepared and the value of putting your name on your work, and that's something that stuck with me forever and something I've tried to pass on to my family. But she took great pride in what she did. She wasn't a grandstander. She didn't need attention, and to me that was the most impressive thing. She was so humble. She had accomplished a lot, and she accomplished a lot in her 90 plus years.
Oh yeah.
and never wanted any attention for it. And she's just a great role model.
Mm-hmm.
My sister Lisa, the fact that Jeff is 9 years older than her, and I was 6. So when I graduated high school, she was in 6th grade, and I wasn't always really nice to her. I would say let's put it that way. The fact that she survived me, kind of thinking I was a big man on campus.
Hopefully she's listening. Hopefully she's listening.
Well, I hope she's not. But anyway, I hope a lot of other people are, but I hope she's not. But she knows all this. This is all nothing new for her. So, I've apologized to her 9,000 times since I was, 17 years old. But anyway, she's the best. She's
a sweetheart. There's no doubt.
Yeah, she's the glue to our family. She just took over where Polly left off. And keeps us all together and keeps us happy and smiling.
Let me tell you real quickly what Coach Welch said. I'll give his comment right now. He thought the world of both of you guys. He said that. And he said, I tried to recruit Jeff and Steve, and then we end up getting his sister, who wasn't even a basketball player. So that was pretty funny, when he said that. I believe she worked in his office, and she said, or he said that she was just a sweetheart and a hard worker. And what else can you get? You know what I mean. So
yeah.
Okay. Talk about. Well, first of all, I'd like to know how you each met your wives. You both have wonderful wives, Lynn and Heather. And happy anniversary, which was last week, to Steve and Heather. So, Jeff, go first. How did you meet Lynn? And what a sweet person.
I met Lynn teaching at Shaker Junior High School.
Mm-hmm.
It was her first year, and it was my 3rd or 4th year there. So that's where we met.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the luckiest guy in the world.
Yep. Steve?
Well, how do you beat that? Beat better than the luckiest guy in the world. That's
yep.
The one thing I'll say about Jeff and Lynn is that there's no better match. I've never seen a better match. I mean, they play off each other really well.
Yep.
They both see things, differently at times, but for the most part, in concert, it's awesome to watch. And it's certainly been helpful in my marriage, and I'm sure my sister's as well. But I met Heather and I met. I was working at Geneseo as an assistant coach and working in student activities, student services, and she came for an interview, and I gave her a tour of campus. And for the next 3 or 4 years, it seemed like I was dating somebody when she was single, or she was dating somebody when I was single, and we kind of were just playing volleyball emotionally. And then finally, she went away to get her doctorate, or she got a job.
I didn't know that.
University of Buffalo or something. I got the coaching job at Geneseo, and we finally were both single, and she came back to campus, and we started seeing each other, and then, next thing you know, we were married and buying a house together. So it's been an awesome 27 years. She's put up with my highs and lows and ups and downs, and couldn't find anybody more supportive.
You both have outstanding children. There's no doubt, and just name them. We won't talk about them. Just Steve or Jeff, go first. Name your boys. 3 boys.
Yeah, I got 3 sons. James is 30, Andrew is 28, and Matt is soon to be 27.
And you know what, Jeff? They excelled in 3 different sports. Andrew, basketball. Matt, football. And James, baseball. Right? So
yeah, they all had their own sport. They all played basketball in high school.
Well, they had to. I'm just kidding.
Well,
no, I'm just kidding on that.
Happy to say they wanted to. I'm happy to say that. James he's coaching now. He's assistant coach at Tufts University in Boston. He's just turned 30, and he's already been involved in college basketball, I think, 8 years. So that's what he wants to do.
Yep.
Andrew was a 4-year player at Mount St. Mary's,
Yep.
and had a nice career there. He's doing personal training. Matt was an honorable mention All-State football player and played basketball, and he's now working for a credit union.
Yeah. There's no doubt James should be a head coach within a couple of years. I think people really love him. So, Steve, your kids?
Yeah, my son Lucas, 26, and he played basketball and baseball in high school. He was a solid basketball player, a little bit one-dimensional. He could shoot, but an excellent baseball player. He was played any place in the infield, and he pitched. He was all-league pitcher his senior year. Played on a state champion runner-up his sophomore year. So he had a great success, and I loved his coach. His coach was a great role model for him. And then Stephanie played lacrosse and basketball, and she was an excellent basketball player. Her team, actually, senior year was the start of COVID, and they were 24-0 and playing for a chance to go to the Final Four at the University of Maryland when COVID hit. So she had a really good career and really enjoyed it, and I was really happy for her.
Was Lucas a better pitcher than your cousin Clay Holmes of the Yankees?
Lately, definitely,
yeah.
Lately, without a doubt.
You know I was going to ask that. So,
yeah.
Both of you won sectional championships. Tell me how you felt about winning those sectional championships.
Well, it was a combination of all our efforts in high school in terms. The biggest thing I think with winning a sectional championship when I was in high school is doing it with my teammates, and the teammates that came before me that we worked so hard with. It was, we took it on the chin from Saranac, before that, and we managed to beat them in the finals. Not the same team, but it was still Saranac and all the red and all that stuff. But it was a tremendous thrill, and doing it in my dad's final year of coaching was added to that too.
Steve?
My senior year, we beat Beekmantown in the field house for our sectional championship, and it was I think I just said sexual championship. Apologize for that, listeners. Sectional championship. So it was great. Had a lot of great experiences in the field house, and that kind of was my last hurrah before they were starting. If I remember right, Jeff, you can correct me. 1979 may have been the first year of the New York's, the state tournament, because I think after we won the sectionals, we went and actually played at Shaker against Albertus Magnus in the first round of the state tournament. I might have this wrong. So to be able to keep playing and to be a part of the first state tournament was really exciting as well.
Wow. We're going to take a break. In fact, the commercial that we're doing is from our friend Neil Fassett. So we're going to take a quick break. Okay, stay there. Okay.
At Fassett Realty, our phones are ringing off the hook. Buyers are searching, but there's just not enough inventory. Are you thinking of selling your home? Now is the perfect time. List with one of our experienced agents and take advantage of the high demand. Our skilled team will help you get the best price for your property. We provide
Still here.
Okay. I got one more. There's tons of stuff I could go over, but we only have a little time, and some of the things, there's so many comments. There's tons of comments, and you'll be able to bring up some of the stuff that I was even going to bring up. So before I get to that, who is your top referee that worked your games in our area?
Oh boy!
You got to You got to have referees in there.
Go way back, huh? Let's see. Well, I would have said Mr. Garrow, but I don't think he was allowed to referee our games because he was a Plattsburgh City School District employee. I was like Bill Badger.
Yep.
I thought he was fair, and he talked to the players, and we always liked him. And Doug Bolus was such a great guy, and those two stick out in my mind quite a bit.
Steve?
Yeah, Bill Badger stood above the rest because he really treated you with a great deal of respect. You know, as anyone that played with me knows, I had a tendency to get a little emotional, and if I did and he was doing a game, he was really good at just going, all good, Steve. It's good. Don't worry about it. You're good. And it was really, I appreciated that. And he had a sense of humor out there. He just didn't ever let the game overwhelm him or the situation overwhelm him, and I always really respected that.
Okay, I'm going to start with some comments. This is from Coach Pope, Steve's coach at, he was an assistant under Coach Pope. And he said, Tom Curl and Steve Holmes were my best assistants ever. And he threw this in there, Steve. He said, Steve should have stayed at Geneseo, but I understand. You know, so that's from Coach Pope. And
that's awesome.
Yep. Norm Law said about Steve, he didn't talk about Jeff because Jeff didn't play for Norm. Outstanding point guard, very unselfish, not surprised about his success at Geneseo. So, you know, there's tons of them. I'm gonna start reading them. Some of them are kind of funny. You might crack up at some of these. Okay, this is from Hal Cohen. He said, "Who are they?" Jeff and Steve Holmes are two of the nicest people you ever want to meet. Two of the best players, coaches, competitors ever from the North Country. I want to thank the Holmes family for the wonderful lodging in all the Orioles over the years during the PBA basketball tournament. Those were some of the greatest times. I didn't know he liked Oreos too. Guys.
Oh yeah.
Okay, this is from Judge Jeff Moskowitz, who is one of our teammates. One of the luckiest things that happened in my life is having the opportunity to be coached by Ray Holmes. The things he installed in me and all my teammates still guide me in how I conduct all facets of my life on a daily basis. Next to my own parents, he has been the most influential person in my life. It's no wonder all of Ray and Polly Holmes' children, Jeff, Steve, and Lisa, are such terrific people. Jeff and Steve are two of my lifetime best friends, and I'm so lucky for that. They are superb people, and they are both the kind of teammate that anyone would want to play for. That's so nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Okay. Neil Fassett, he got one on the second one, so you guys will be ready for it. Hey, Lace, question one for Jeff and Steve. Other than your dad, who are your role models that motivated you to become successful coaches? Jeff, go first.
Role models, geez, I had so many. You know, the other coaches that we had, you know, I had Dutch Cromer, I had John Nicotera, Mike Flynn, of course. Biggest role models, I think, growing up, that were the players that played for my dad. You know, guys like Tommy Duquette and Steve Wood, Danny Adams, Mike Francis.
Yes.
Tom Herlihy, Mark Garrow. I mean, just
yes.
These guys were gods in our house. You know, Steve and I would play Nerf basketball and say, "All right, I'm Tommy Duquette. I'm Mike Francis." That's how much they're such great role models to us all.
Steve?
Yeah, ditto all that for sure. Mark Garrow was, and Billy Sorrell, and oh boy, I used to go to my father's practices and just be in awe all the time. And but you know, my father was the biggest role model. Mike Flynn was a huge role model for me. But Jerry Welsh for me changed my life. He, you know, got me from a guy floating around trying to figure out what the heck he was going to do with the rest of his life to get serious about being a college basketball coach and really dedicating myself to it. And yeah, he changed my life.
He's listening, by the way. So you want to say hello to him?
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. Talk to you soon.
Okay, here's question 2 from Neil Bassett, the farmer, the Tin Man. Okay, back in the day, you both had big curly hair. How many people over the years have mistaken you both for Welcome Back Cotter? Sorry about that, guys.
Who's this Neil Facette you're talking about? I don't know anybody named Neil Facette.
That was pretty funny. And let's see here. Hi, Tom. My name is Bill Strand. I was informed you're looking for some feedback for your show with Jeff Holmes tomorrow. Jeff and I were teammates at Plymouth State College. Jeff was a valuable and dedicated teammate. He and I shared a passion for the game. Like Jeff, after college, we both had long careers teaching and coaching basketball. Jeff and I have recently reconnected and have been to games together. It's been great to catch up with him. Please say hello from me, and I'm sure you'll have a great show. You remember him? Of course you do.
I remember him. He was my teammate for 3 years. He's a great guy and great teammate again, and fellow coach. And we went to a few games last year. We saw my son James play, and it was great to reconnect with him. And he's always been there's a role model, a guy a year older than me. Him and my good friend Paul Hogan.
He made a comment too. Yep. Another funny one. This is from Joe Cardney. Before I get on with Joe's comment, who is better, Mike Francis or Joe Cardney? There's a tough one for you.
Joe Cardney as far as I'm concerned, he was the best basketball player to come out of Plattsburgh and probably surrounding areas. That's in my opinion. Mike was a great athlete and great player, I think. But of course, your perspective is different.
I know.
When you're younger,
Sure.
Mike was a hero to us. And,
Yep.
And Joe was our teammate, and I guess he was a hero to us as our teammate too. That's how good he was. So.
Yeah. Steve, you have a comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, same thing. I mean, Joe was, what all of us younger guys aspired to be. We wanted to be tough and competitive and skilled, and he had it all. And it was a really high bar, but it gave us something to shoot at. And of course, none of us really came close, but it was nice to have that guy right in front of you that you could reach and touch and watch and try to emulate. So yeah, Joe, without a doubt.
Okay. This is his question. Basketball is a great sport, and you both excelled at it, both playing and coaching. But it wasn't your best sport. Here we go. Explain the game of chase and how you got so good at it. Leave it to him, right, to ask that.
It's funny because he texted me out of the blue probably 4 or 5 years ago. Can you explain the rules of chase? And we went back into the history of the game, and it's growing up in Plattsburgh for you playing this game. It was a nightly game in the summer where there'd be 20 to 25 guys on a team and girls, and it was kind of a team hide and seek game. But it was the beauty of growing up in a wonderful place like Plattsburgh.
Those are fun times. This is from Coach Doherty, one of our close friends. Jeff and Steve, two of my closest friends, were able to take their basketball careers out of the North Country. Jeff, a New York State Hall of Famer, and a long and outstanding career in basketball-rich Albany area. Steve was a well-known college coach in Western New York and in Maryland for several years. Their outstanding reputations and coaching careers are a great reflection on the North Country as a whole. And that article, that I wrote, is going to be coming out in December in North Country Living, right on basketball season. And like I said, Plattsburgh High School had 5 head college basketball coaches, which is, I talked to Dave Archer, and he said that's the most in Class A, B. There was a double A or a triple A, whatever, in New York City that had 7. Plattsburgh High School had 5, and I'll name them real quick. Kevin Doherty at Clinton, myself at Clinton, Steve at Geneseo and Salisbury State, and presently Charlie Mason at New England College, and Rob de Grand Prix at Hilbert. So that's amazing. And the imprint, every one of them said, is Ray Holmes. Even though two of them didn't have your dad, but they knew. So, you know what I mean? Okay. This is from Leo Ryan. Most memorable coaching moments.
Most memorable coaching moments. Well, you know, as a coach, anytime you get a chance to play for and win a championship, and you know, Leo was with me when we won our sectional championship at Shaker, and you know, doing it with a teammate, you know, a guy that I grew up with, basically a teammate and close friend, it made it all the more special. So that if I had to choose one, I guess that would be it. Although there's so many other ones, and they don't always involve winning championships. You know, team, and the only guys that I think have coached and played could really relate to that.
Sure. And let's wish Leo the best. He just had surgery on his non-shooting hand. It was a golf
Does he have
injury. One? You know, Leo could shoot. We all know that. So, and you want to know? Steve, go on with that. Sorry.
Oh yeah, same for me. That it's hard to narrow it down to just one, but it's, you know, when you win a championship and you know all your, you know, and everybody's happy and everybody's reached a goal, and luckily, you know, when I was at Geneseo, it had evaded the program for years. It'd been close with a lot of great teams, and when we finally won the SUNYAC championship, that was just a great moment, and you know, it was great for me and great for the guys, but just great for the school as well. So, breaking through that barrier was probably as memorable as I can come up with.
Isn't that something though? I mean, Plattsburgh High School, I think it's awesome. And when I told a couple of coaches about that, and they both said, Jerry Howerhand said it's Ray Holmes' imprint. That's why, and he's so right. And let's see.
Can I say something, Tom?
Yeah, sure.
My dad's imprint obviously was felt in coaching. You know, the coaching legacy, and but I think his imprint had to do with all walks of life, you know, and I spoke about this when our team was inducted into the Plattsburgh High School Hall of Fame a few years ago. You know, our team, we had doctors and lawyers and successful businessmen and, you know, teachers, and just his imprint wasn't just in coaching. It was in a lot of walks of life.
Yep.
So, you know, I just thought I'd express that. Yeah,
and I did put something on Facebook recently that even in his gym classes, he cared so much about even the non-athletes, and he would always have something nice to say, no matter what it was, you know, whether it be wiffle ball or dodgeball, or I think I mentioned even the square dancing. Everyone just loved him, and so. Oh, this is from Bill Mitchell. Anytime we played Geneseo, Steve's teams were prepared more than any other team in the league. Just an amazing coach in person. We loved working and learning from Coach Welch. Jeff was always so humble, very successful high school coach in the Albany area. And that's true. Jeff, you're too humble. You know, unlike me, who brags a lot. And my reason for bragging is when you're 65, you're allowed to brag. That's why. So, but Jeff came here for an interview for the women's job. Unfortunately, he didn't get it, but I told everyone that they made the biggest mistake ever. And he also said your father was Jerry Welch's best friend. So that's from Coach Mitchell.
Well, Tom, I got to say I'm grateful I didn't get that job.
For real?
Yeah,
me too.
everything worked out pretty well for me. Meeting Lynn and raising my family and coaching.
Yeah.
So, like my parents always said, things happen for a reason, and there was a reason why I didn't get that job, which I'm grateful for.
Sure.
Yeah, the other part of that, Tom, was that at that time when Jeff interviewed for that job, I was an assistant at Potsdam. Bill and I were Coach Welsh's assistant, and I had to. I was in a very precarious spot, in that I wanted my brother to be
on campus
to reach his goals, and he wanted to be a college coach, and but I didn't think it was the right setup for him, so I couldn't say that to him. And so when he didn't get it, I think I was happy, yet I had to go console him for not getting it. So it was a tough spot for me. I remember that very well.
Yeah.
All right, I've forgiven you.
Okay. This is from, and I don't know what Mike Deese means by this. He just said one comment, and Steve, you might know. Tell Steve to put his hood up. What does he mean by that?
Inside jokes, are supposed to stay inside. And Mike Deese, for those who are listening who don't know, is my college roommate and a great friend, and younger brother of Danny Thies, who was an assistant at Plattsburgh State and a player, great player, great assistant coach for many years, great coach, Division I assistant coach. So Mike and I were close, and it wouldn't be funny to anybody else but Mike and I, so let's just leave it there. Yeah.
Okay. This is from Tom Curl. What kind of rivalry, did you have as brothers, and did it ever lead to fisticuffs? Also, and I already got the answer to this, did you guys protect Lisa or tease her when she was your little sister? Jeff was different, but go ahead with that.
I didn't know this was going to turn into a Dr. Phil session there, Dave.
That's Tom Curl, Professor Tom Curl, I should say.
Yeah.
I think we had a few disagreements through the years. Like the Larry Bird thing said, he played his brothers. Every time he played his brothers one-on-one, somebody got in a fight, but when they were done, they were still brothers. So we not only became brothers, but we became best friends. So I think it worked out. And let me say something about Lisa. We were tough on her. I admit it, a little tough. But I think it worked out for her because she's just a tremendous person. She was supportive and fiercely loyal, and she had a tremendous teaching career. I was so proud of her and what she accomplished in all those years.
Yeah. And
so Tom Curl asked this question because I'm pretty sure he had older brothers, so I'm sure he has that. But any measure of success that I had in high school as an athlete was due to all the older guys, the guys that came before me that would put up with a little punk running around trying to, yourself and Kevin Doherty, Leo Ryan, and Jeff, and many others, because they put up with me. They put up with my emotional behavior. They ran me through it, but it just toughened me up so much for later on when I played against guys my own age. So Jeff and I maybe had a couple come home from college, play one-on-one during Thanksgiving break, and end up with one of us bleeding or both. But then we'd go right back to just like nothing happened.
Sure.
So it was pretty commonplace.
Those things happen. And this is from Bill Santos in Nantucket. I hear that you're interviewing Jeff and Steve Holmes. Jeff was the first person I ever met at Plymouth State College, now Plymouth State University, when I was looking at the school with then basketball coach Jack Rhodes. Jeff and I have been friends ever since. Great guy, and his brother Steve, also a great guy. That's from Bill Santos. How do you know him?
Well, I played basketball with him and was in the same fraternity with him. We've been very close friends for forever, and I can't, it's hard to, the things that you've been reading from all these close, great friends. I'm so fortunate to have so many great people in my life, and Billy is right near the top of the list. You can't ask for a better guy than Billy.
Yep. This is from Coach Hogan. Thanks for the call. Two outstanding people who have been who have impacted the lives of many young people during their illustrious careers as educators and coaches. Both have demonstrated their lifetime commitment to the great sport of basketball, following their dad becoming tremendous coaches and role models. I'm so happy to call both friends and colleagues. I share my admiration for the Holmes brothers. Almost 50 years of friendship. I love that one too. There's tons of them. I mean, no, I'm gonna keep reading them. And Paul Glotus had a question.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Those could be
dangerous.
No.
No. I hope this finds you well. Question for Jeff and Steve. Who was the best, toughest player you had to guard in high school? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I had to guard Mike Ryan from Saranac, and wasn't very successful. Maybe 1 out of 3 times. Mike was a great player. I actually played against him in college as well. He was very, very good.
Who was the toughest defender, Jeff? He wants to know that too.
Defender?
Yeah.
Gary Facette.
There you go. I'm glad you mentioned him because he's listening.
The thing about Gary, and I told him this as well, he just played. You know, he didn't say a word. He just played, and I was respected that. You know, and when the game was over, we shook hands and we've talked about it in years since. You know, he was just a great competitor, and he was the toughest defender I had to go against.
Steve?
Well, anybody who ever saw me play knows that I didn't play a lot of defense. So
yeah, you did.
So it's kind of a tough question. But Dane Wall, I think Dane and I were friends and played a lot of basketball in the summer together. And then when he played at Peru, and we had some great matchups. I don't think we were always guarding each other, but I do remember the times I did have to guard him. Him and Gary Finney was a great player. There was a bunch of them. Ron Hamill, who I ended up being a teammate with for a couple of years.
Yep.
You know, those 3 guys were a bear to guard, and always, you know, the highlight of our game plans. You know, trying to keep them under ropes. So the guys that guarded me the toughest, probably John Pearl. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, St. John's.
The Pearl family from St. John's, and one of the class acts, one of the nicest guys I ever met growing up. John Pearl usually would be right up in my shirt, you know, trying to keep me from doing anything offensively.
If he was listening, he'd love to hear that. He really would. Again, we have Jeff and Steve Holmes. I was told that I have to keep reminding some people want to know who I have on here. Okay. This is from Dane. Actually, all I can say is I'm lucky to know them both. I first met Steve at Norm Law's camp, and then again when we played together at the St. Lambert tournament in Montreal, which was so much fun, guys, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In high school, we played in some great games against each other. Jeff, I watched playing on some of those great Plattsburgh high school teams with Joe. He actually said me, which is nice. Doc, Leo, B.J. Adams, Jeff Moskowitz, Hollis, and so many great athletes. Their parents were such wonderful human beings. Mrs. Holmes was amazing, and Coach Holmes brought me into the St. Lambert tournament as the only Plattsburgh outsider. That's great. That was special to me, and I still very much appreciate it. Both Steve and Jeff took their love of basketball into coaching, and both excelled. I think all of us are better persons for just knowing them. Wow. And he also said, don't forget the hundreds of pickup games we played behind the high school, Memorial Hall, and of course those classic games behind the walls of the prison. And Steve, your first time there and playing in prison, tell me about it.
Well, you had to be 18 to go in. I remember that, and I was 18. And you guys, I think it was all older guys, you guys were all veterans of going in, and so we go in, and of course you got to go through all the bells and whistles and get stamped and go through metal detectors and all that kind of thing. So I was already really jittery, and then we got escorted into the prison, and kind of, I'm sure I was wide-eyed, and we walked by David Berkowitz.
Oh my gosh!
In chains somewhere with 2 guards on each side of him, and one of the guards casually said, by the way, that's David Berkowitz. So that didn't help matters, but. Then we walked further into the prison, and a fight broke out between 2 inmates. And one of our members said, "Run." So we started running to the next station, and we had prison guards chasing us from either angle. And by the time we got to the next station, we pretty much got yelled at by the next guard not to run freely through a maximum security prison. So that was pretty scary. And then they told us the game was probably going to be canceled because of the fight and so on, and we were all disappointed. But then they decided, well, we're going to let you play. You came all this way, we're going to let you play. So we went up, we started warming up. My mind, for the first time in my life, was on anything but basketball. And then I remember we were getting ready to start the game, and a guard came over to us and said, "Hey, if anything breaks out, there's a sniper in that tower, and there's a sniper in that tower. Just run to one of the towers." And I just remember going to myself, and then somebody said, "Who wants to start?" And I said, "I'll sit out first." Only time in my life where I was happy to be on the bench.
Do you remember how you played? I know it's a while ago.
I remember. No, I don't remember how I played, but I just remember being very happy when we left.
Yeah. Jeff, your first time playing, do you remember it?
Yeah, kind of. I can't remember who John Grotto was the rec director, and he brought us in, and I don't think it wasn't to the extent of Steve's memories, but it was definitely culture shock. And I got to say, we loved going in there and playing. Definitely. And I think for the most part, the inmates were they're very happy, and that we came and played and gave them an opportunity to do something different. And we loved playing there. We loved playing at the base against the airmen there, and it was just a tremendous experience.
Speaking about playing at the base, when we played their varsity team, I'm going to say that we won 90% of the time, and I always remember them dunking in warm-ups and us just barely touching the rim, except for Leo. Leo would back dunk or whatever, and everyone would say, "Oh, they're going to get their butts handed to them," but they didn't realize you're talking about 8 guys with so much heart, and that was installed by, of course, your dad. So I just want to say that. And another comment from Dane. I'd like to say that their parents are looking down with such pride for the exceptional husbands, parents, and friends they have become. That's very nice too, to say that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you owe Dane money or something?
I don't think he needs it.
No, he doesn't.
Oh yeah.
I will say about Dane, if it's okay, Tom, is that Dane is all the things that he just claimed we were. I mean, he had a great family, and he was. I loved. I think we both admitted one time years later that we both. It was kind of a Larry Bird, Urban Johnson thing. Like I would get up in the morning and look in the paper and see what he did, and he said he would look in the paper and see what I did, and we had this little competition going, and it really, I'm sure it helped both of us try to be the best we could be. And Dane, I always appreciated that from Dane. That and the fact that he's just one of the nicest guys you'd ever
He sure is.
Around.
I don't want to snitch on him. I was going to snitch and say something, but I can't. So he is a great guy, and him and I went to Florida together, and we had so much fun. And this is from Bobby McKinney, and the reason he said this, there's a reason for it, but he's listening too. He said, "Why did you cut Lace for the PBA and pick up me?" And what channels you get on your cable TV? Do you still use the same service? I don't know what he means by that. Do you guys have an inside track on Bobby McKinney? I don't know what he means by that one, but he wants to know. He wants to know why you cut Lace, because Bobby. I didn't speak to him after that for a long time, and anytime I played against Bobby, I had this chip on my shoulder, and I wouldn't even let him touch the ball. And finally he goes, Lace, what is your problem anyway? What's your problem? And I told him, I said, well, I got caught by my two best friends, and they picked you up. And then I lost my edge. He started getting the best of me again.
I think you caught us. I think that's the real.
That is not true.
Part of your own team. Right?
Nope. You ended up going for Hal and Bobby, and no big deal. I'm half kidding here too. You guys know me, so. But I'm thinking I'm missing a few, but it's been an hour or so, and there's just a couple more things I wanted to.
Hey, Lace, can I interject real quick?
Yeah.
A good friend of mine, maybe my best friend growing up, a guy by the name of Bill Neverett.
Oh yes, he did.
Yeah, I told him I was going to be on your show, and
he did.
Came up with a great question. Do you have it?
Yes. Please ask them each what their most memorable sport. Oh my gosh! I was an English major. Sporting event was from the North Country in the '70s, either as a fan or a player. Gosh, thanks for that, for reminding me. Oh, and there's another one too. Go ahead and answer that. We have
so the
about
most memorable,
4 minutes.
our most memorable. See, now you got me confused. So what do we remember most from athletic, whether we were a fan or we were a player from the 90s, from the 70s. Okay. Go ahead, Jeff.
Did you say you were an English major, Tom?
Yes. My bad. Yep.
Some people have a way with words.
English that we grew up with? Okay, all right. First of all, well, I got to say, if it's not the playing against the Olympic women's team,
there we go. Yes.
Amazing again, but I got to say, I was thinking about this. I got to say, just playing in the field house in general for championships, so it's just kind of what we worked for our whole young careers at that point, playing in front of big crowds and a big stage, and I think that probably would take it.
This is from Donnie Kasprzak. The entire Holmes family are wonderful people. I was very close to Coach Holmes, and both sons were outstanding athletes and outstanding people. Their parents raised their sons to be gentlemen. That's from, he's running for mayor, and I don't want to name my pick right now, so but I did have, really quick, we have like 3 minutes left. I did have a word association. I'm just going to do a few. That's all. That's it. I'm going to start off with Red Lacey. Jeff?
Red Lacey.
First thing that comes to your mind.
One of a kind.
Okay.
One of a kind.
And Steve, I
Praise.
don't... Oh, that's funny. I'm going to throw this one. Carlton Fisk.
Well, despised him because we were Munson fans or Yankee fans, but but we respected him.
Okay. And let's see. Okay, I'm going to talk about the Hall of Fame real quick. Let's see. Do these guys belong? Yes or no? Mattingly. Yes or no?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Okay. Posada.
No.
No.
Pettit?
Yes.
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and my last question will be, what's your funniest story about Tom Lacey? And it's got to be kind of short because we got 2 minutes. So, funniest story.
I don't know if I can do a short one, Tom. I'm sorry. There's no short version with you.
Okay.
Sorry. We got too many stories.
All right.
Laughs among us, I think.
Yeah.
Tom, are you asking us this because you don't want to do your show anymore? Because we telling stories about you. I don't think you'll be on air next week.
Stop. Okay, we're gonna finish up. Just want to say, Jeff and Steve Holmes, two of my best friends, and I'm so glad that I got to know them because, they took me under their wing. Growing up on the rail tracks next on Margaret Street, and thank God for them and all our neighbors, and we had so much fun throughout the years, and you guys will always be friends for life. You guys know that. So thank you so much, both class acts, and you guys have a good day. Bye.
Thanks for having us, Tom.
Okay.
Thanks for having us. It was a pleasure doing this.
Okay. Take care. Bye. Good show, I think.
All right, that'll do it for the Tom Lacey Sports Hour. Join us again next week for another edition right here on Hometown Radio, WIRY.